All right, we're live. Give it a little bit of time to let people join in on the stream here. But welcome everyone. My name is Jamie Weintraub. I am one of the event managers over on the community team here at Chainlink Labs. Really happy to be joined by a couple of colleagues and peers of mine here to talk about their experiences participating in previous hackathons and what that was like winning bounties and prizes. So without further ado, I'll let each of you introduce yourselves, talk about who you are and what you do professionally.
Awesome. Thanks, Jamie. I'll go first. Hi, everyone. My name's Harry. If you don't know me, I manage the developer advocates here at Chainlink Labs, actually, and very excited to be here.
Hey everybody, Michael here. I'm on the marketing team here at Chainlink Labs, and yeah, also really excited to be here and talk about the hackathon.
Hi, I'm Darby, and I am a community advocate, and I edit for a podcast called Base Space.
Very nice. All right, so each of you previously participated in Chainlink Hackathons. So my first question would be, what gave you the desire to get involved and join a team?
Do one of you guys want to go first?
Yeah, I'll shoot. So for me, it was about trying something that I hadn't done before. I was self-teaching Solidity, went through some of the hybrid smart contract boot camps through the Chainlink operation, and the hackathon came around, and this gave me an opportunity to kind of test myself, see where I stacked up, and then also get direct insight into how to use a whole bunch of different product services and learn a little bit more. Basically flesh out where I was and allow me to understand where I needed to go.
Very nice.
Nice.
Yeah, for myself. Oh, go ahead, Harry.
No, you go.
Yeah, myself, it was really just I wanted to get involved in this industry. I came from a tech background, and prior to that, actually mechanical engineering, so not directly relevant to blockchain and crypto, etc. And I wanted to get involved. I wanted to not just be someone letting this great innovation and technology pass by, and to me, the hackathon was the place to do that. And it was just a fantastic experience for me. I came into the hackathon knowing zero people at all. Was just welcomed in by the Chainlink community and had some ideas and shared, and ended up forming a group with 3 other people that we still are in a Discord chat today and keep in touch. And yeah, that was what got me involved originally, was just wanting to get involved and wanting to learn about the technology.
Yeah, nice. So I guess for myself, it goes back to probably 2018 or so. I made a decision that I wanted to move from my existing type of work that I did in traditional kind of enterprise consulting to Web3, because I kind of saw it as like a future. It's like a big thing, and I was working on old technology. I wanted to work on new technology. So I started learning up about Web3, smart contracts, Solidity, all that stuff. And then I saw hackathons as a way to show off like what I can do in the space to get kind of noticed and hired. And also B, I was literally doing hackathon stuff to earn crypto and increase my crypto holdings during the bear market. So I was like, I could enter like a hackathon every 3 months and try and earn some crypto while I'm learning this stuff at the same time. So those were kind of the motivations for myself to join the original the hackathons back in the day. Sorry.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities there between the 3 of you. Michael and Darby, you may have had some similar motivations and just kept it to yourself. But either way, that was probably a worthwhile endeavor for you, Harry. Transitioning over, I think this is a nice next question. What was your original project when you submitted to the hackathon? What did you build? What Chainlink solution did you use?
So the last year I competed in both the hackathons, both the spring and the fall. In the spring, when I was really dipping my toes in. We were building using Truflation's data. We were trying to build a stable coin tied to the price of US dollar plus inflation. We didn't necessarily get to like a full-fledged project there within that, but in terms of where we were at that point in time, that was before Terra Luna and before everything that kind of happened there. So it gave us like an incredible opportunity to learn. And then the second project, which I'm very proud of, was Medicare, where we were building a healthcare data management tool using a dynamic NFT that pulled heart rate. Now, granted, blockchain's public, so you can't really have private healthcare data on a public blockchain, but we wanted to prove that you could build something along those ways using the current and existing technology minus that privatized data aspect. So that was what we approached with the team with Medicare, and that's the one that ended up perking up some ears and maybe drawing some eyes.
Michael?
Yeah, so I entered into 2 hackathons. The first ever hackathon by Chainlink, which was, I believe, just end of DeFi summer 2020. And in that hackathon, it was just all about learning about the tech and learning about Chainlink. And we put together a project that was based on parametric insurance. So parametric insurance, in a nutshell, is insurance that pays out a predefined payout automatically when a condition is met. So really a low-hanging fruit for blockchain and smart contracts. The issue being that you can't easily get data into smart contracts. So there was the Chainlink piece. So we pulled in a specific API that actually measured water levels, and those water levels were used to determine payouts for a parametric marine insurance proof of concept. So if you remember that Suez Canal crisis a few years ago, where if a shipping lane's inoperable,
Right.
there's billions of dollars of costs, and it's a multi-billion-dollar insurance industry. We were looking at that and saying, how can we try and disrupt this industry with smart contracts, blockchain, and using Chainlink for that as well. So yeah, that was the first project we did. And the second one was a similar concept, parametric insurance, but for actually lending assets on Aave. So essentially a circuit breaker using Chainlink proof of reserve feeds that would protect and withdraw your assets if there was any issues with reserve or supply of a specific token.
That one could come in handy for sure. Did you end up winning a prize for both projects? And also, out of curiosity, was it the same team for both?
Yeah, so the first prize we just won, I think it was a runner-up, a small award. But then 3 of the 4 of us continued and came back for another go. And the second time we won a couple prizes. So it was great. It was not only a nice little bit of funds to win, but also just learning and meeting all the people here was incredible. So it's what landed me ultimately working here.
Yep. Keeping the team together across multiple hackathons, very cool. Like you said, still keep in touch today. What about you, Harry?
Yeah, both. Yeah, all cool projects. So for me, I think it started in early 2020. There was this hackathon that Chainlink was involved in, and I submitted this project called, and this, I'll talk about this and then another one. I submitted this project called Link Gas Station. I'll share a link to it in the chat. You guys can have a look. So essentially what this project did is it allows people, companies, businesses, whatever, to interact with Chainlink smart contracts and do API calls and stuff without needing to use any ETH or Link, right? So back then we had direct request. You needed the smart contract to have Link. You needed ETH for gas, etc. And I figured businesses aren't going to want to hold like this crypto on their books to interact with smart contracts. So what if I provided a way for them to interact with this stuff without having to hold crypto. And that's basically what this project demonstrated, that you could interact with a smart contract that did an API call, that got some weather data or did something, and you could just literally interact with it without needing any ETH or link. And yeah, it was pretty good. I won top prize in that hackathon. I paid a guy from the community, I think it was a few link, maybe $100 worth of link at the time, probably worth more now, but to make a picture, like a meme picture. So if you go to the link I sent, you can kind of see he came up with a pretty cool Link gas station picture with like a frog guy holding up a gas pump. So I thought that was pretty cool. And yeah, that one kind of resonated well with Patrick at the time, who was the Chainlink DevRel team and the community as well. So that was the first one. And then the second one that I submitted for the first official, I think it was, Chainlink virtual hackathon back in 2020, was this thing called Link My Ride, which I pasted in the chat again. So basically what this submission was is it's a on a vehicle rental kind of platform where it works in a peer-to-peer way, where if you own like a Tesla or an electric car, you can kind of rent it out to someone for a short period of time. So like 2 hours, 3 hours, 8 hours, etc. And because the car has an API, it uses Chainlink and smart contracts. So where the smart contract can actually connect to the car, and it could find out how many miles it's gone, where it is, and all this kind of data about the car. But it also can connect to the API and actually lock and unlock the car and remotely start the car and stuff like that. So this one was a very big project. I built it with this guy called Matt Durkin, who's like a killer front end guru. I think he works at Cifra Audits now with Patrick. So he did the front end, I did all the other stuff. And it was essentially like a multi-flow process where you can put your car up to be rented by people, and you could say where it is on the map, etc. They can, someone can then use the app to say, I want to rent it. They can pay the fee in ETH, they pay a bond and all that stuff. When they get to the car and they're ready to rent it, they say, yep, I'm here. The smart contract will automatically start it and unlock it, etc. They go and do what they have to do with the car. And then when they come back, they use the app and say that they're done. And then it will check to make sure it's been returned to the right place, check that it was recharged and all that kind of stuff using the APIs. And then it will take a fee and return the bond if it deems that it can return the bond. And it will do the smart contract will do all the payments and all that kind of stuff, and it will kind of end. So I think that won the grand prize in that hackathon. And yeah, it got the attention from Patrick and Keenan at the time, which eventually led to me kind of getting hired at Chainlink, obviously.
Yeah, that actually goes really well with what my next question was, which is, what did winning do for you in terms of your confidence that you belong in the space, and also what sort of doors did it open for you? Harry, if you have anything else to add there, please do. And Mike, I'd love to hear from you as well. Darby, I'll rephrase the question for you in a second.
Sure. So yeah, from my point of view, yeah, obviously led to kind of being hired, or actually both those submissions did. So I was approached initially from the content team after the first submission that I talked about, to say, hey, we love your hackathon submission. We also love the blog post that you've been doing on Medium. Would you be interested in coming and writing some technical articles for us, right? So that kind of led to me doing some of that work for kind of part-time. And then the Link My Ride submission led to, Patrick reaching out to me and saying, hey, what you're doing is really cool. You've got obviously, enough kind of knowledge about Web3 and smart contracts, etc. Would you be interested in joining the Chainlink Labs DevRel team? And yeah, I think the rest is pretty much history. I joined within 3 months, I think it was. And yeah, so obviously doing the hackathon led to me kind of getting employed, but also gave me confidence that I could get employed, and that I knew kind of enough about this kind of new thing that I'd spent the last year learning about, to actually quit my full-time job and then go full-time into Web3 and crypto.
Very nice. Michael?
Yeah, I agree with everything Harry said. Huge confidence booster, excellent way to get into the industry, meet people. I was similar in that by participating in the hackathons and really just being in the space and interested and building cool things. It gave me the opportunity to interview and fortunately work here. So for me, I think the hackathons, in addition to giving opportunities to work in the industry, there's a huge opportunity to actually take your idea and make it a full-on startup. So we were close to actually pursuing that path at the end of our hackathon, and had some opportunities. The hackathon actually opened us up to discussions with investors. We ended up going a different path, and 2 of the 4 of us are now at Chainlink Labs. So it worked out very well anyways, but yeah, there's many different paths that you can go, and I think many startups have kind of come about from the Chainlink Hackathon too.
Yeah, the one that always comes to mind is the fall of 2021 winner, Krypton. They've received funding. They're part of the Chainlink Build program and taken off as a startup. Darby, over to you. Seeing as you're not on the Chainlink team, but you're very much involved. I know you have a lot of access, and I'd love to hear about what sort of access you've continued to get down the line and the connections you've made from participating in the hackathon.
So from the hackathon, I've been at the relationships and that I've been able to build with members of the team across multiple departments has been a fantastic add to the journey. Like when I found Web3, this was like my bread and butter, but also like what ignited my fire and like really set myself on this path of like personal and professional development. So going from non-technical to building the skill sets to jumping into hackathons and trying hackathon 1, trying hackathon 2, continuing to move forward with the workshops around live events with SmartCon. I've gotten the opportunity to kind of brush shoulders and shake hands with a lot of very smart and talented people out of the organization. And then like that has continued moving forward. I've recently hired a professional development coach that has taken me and my current technical skill sets and drafted out a plan to get me to where I'm trying to go. Basically redefine the map. So instead of a lot more of this trial and error of doing it on my own, I'm doing it with some very talented people. I don't want to disclose who that is, but kind of moving forward, and the continued growth has been something that it's as if I finally found what I was always meant to do, even though I constantly feel like I'm constantly pushing myself just a hair out of my limits of my comfort zone, and like what at one point seemed impossible, it's now possible and like within reach. And the fact that I'm kind of surrounded by everybody that I've gotten to cross paths with, I've gotten the opportunity to really like, I just know deep down that I'm on the right track, and that as I continue moving forward, it's like the path continues to like open up even more. And like getting the opportunity to do something like this is a clear kind of nod that my approach and work in the hackathons and other community events has led me towards a great kind of outcome. And even with this, I'm just ecstatic to be here.
Yeah, I love to hear that. You mentioned meetups and doing some of the non-technical stuff too. If anyone watching the stream has been to any Boston meetups in the last year, I'm sure you've seen myself and Darby greeting you at the front door. I got one more question before I will start looking into the chat. So while I read this one, if you're watching along, think of some questions, chuck them in the comments, and we'll get over to them. I believe it was Darby, but any of you can answer this question. Why do you think it's so important to submit your project, even if you're like you said, you're not ready to go to mainnet, it's not a finished product, but you have a nice foundation? What are the benefits of still putting your submission into the fold?
I know exactly why you're asking this. So the hackathon project that we won the top quality project prize, which was in the fall of 2022, the one with Medicare, the healthcare data management tool, our external adapter wasn't entirely working. That was a great body of work. It was tough. We learned a lot, but we had built enough with everything else that it was still enough to kind of get us over that ledge. And had we been, quote, like perfectionists and decided not to submit because we were worried about whether or not that was going to be the issue, we wouldn't have been able to get any of, not to, for lack of a better word, recognition, but for the fact that we went through the process, set the deadline, did the days of live streaming together, like us and the technical team on our team, working through it and trying to get everything up and running. Had we not submitted, nothing would have happened. Versus going through and finalizing and submitting and tying up all the loose ends and the bows and getting it all together, that in itself is part of the process. And I like to something that has become very inherent to me is like, I follow through on the promises I give myself. So if I promised that I was going to make sure that we're submitting it, we're submitting it. And regardless of the fact that we may have convinced ourselves otherwise, we chose not to. And we ended up moving forward, and it ended up being a great experience after the fact.
Awesome. Michael, Harry, anything to add?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. I think really for me, it's hackathons are more about the journey, right, and not the destination. So obviously, if you have a project, you finish it, etc., you should submit it. But even like Darby was saying, if it's not where you think it needs to be at, even if you're a perfectionist, etc., even if you think it sucks, you should always still submit it, right? Because I kind of try and compare it to like a marathon and stuff. Like you don't not finish a marathon just because you're not going to win a prize. You want to finish it for yourself, right? So that you can say you finished it, you put in the work, you did it, and you can kind of just mentally be able to like say to yourself, I've done this thing, right? And so I really feel that you should always submit no matter what you have done in these hackathons. And also for other reasons as well, you never know what's going to happen from it, right? Like people don't realize how much hackathons are actually used as an entry point into the space. They don't realize how many go-to-market teams are looking at hackathons, how many BD teams, etc. Like people look at these submissions and they go through them and they see these names and they notice them, and then they'll notice that there's common names that have entered multiple hackathons, and they start to kind of build up this kind of online community presence and stuff like that too. So people go through the submissions, and that's kind of another reason why you should submit. Because lots of hiring happens through the hackathons. And also, finally, you never know when someone might reach out to you in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 1 year and say, hey, I saw your thing that you built in this hackathon. I took this part of it or something, or it inspired me to kind of do this project. And it went on, I went on to win a prize here. I went on to get hired here and stuff. So that's kind of the beauty of open source software too, where you're kind of showing something to the world and others can kind of take inspiration from it and use it for themselves as well. So that's definitely another reason to submit.
Anything to add, Michael?
No, I think that sums it up.
Yeah,
submit. Always submit.
All right. Well, with that in mind, the deadline to submit is this Friday. That would be June 9th. Yep, at 11:45 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you get that in. If you have any questions or comments, get us in the Discord, but you can also check on chain.link/hackathon to go over any of the rules or requirements needed to make sure your submission's in the right place. I'm going to take a look here in the chat. I saw at least one question. What specific challenges or problem areas in the blockchain ecosystem is the upcoming Chainlink Hackathon aiming to address? That is that there's so many different projects here. I mean, Harry, if there's anything to add there, it's a bit of a difficult question to nail down on.
Let me just find it in the chat again here. Okay. Yeah. So this is very open and broad question, but yeah, thank you for asking. The Chainlink Hackathon really just aims or basically tries to empower developers to just build cool stuff, right? And kind of get rewarded from it, to get them aware of some of these technologies, whether it's, Chainlink specifically or some of our partners for the hackathon like Flow, etc. Really, it's about building cool stuff, inspiring yourself and inspiring the world, and showing what are some of the cool and innovative decentralized applications that you can build with these technologies. And more specifically, maybe compared to previous hackathons, I think we've got a new product that's in beta, Chainlink Functions, and we've got a new kind of piece of technology in general that the world's kind of been introduced to, which is language learning models and things like ChatGPT. I think more specifically for this hackathon, it really shows how you can actually combine the power of Web3 with some of these new AI tools that we have. And I think by having something like Chainlink Functions and ChatGPT APIs and stuff like that, it's really providing a really cool way for developers to experiment and build applications using these technologies. So I'm actually excited to see what people come up with in our AI track. That's probably the thing that I'm looking forward to the most out of this hackathon.
Perfect. I see we have one more question just come up. Roberto is asking, what's the most important thing or things, in your opinion, in creating a successful product or project? Team communication, planning, vision, etc.
Yeah, I can answer this one first, and then if the others want to chime in. The most important thing in your submission, or the two most important things, make sure you meet all the eligibility criteria. So you need to make sure that you're using Chainlink or using Flow or AWS or whatever the track is that you're entering in. B, make sure everything is public, right? Make sure your code's public, make sure your YouTube video is public, etc. Because we can't judge it if it's not. And the other thing that I would say is make sure your video is concise and to the point and demonstrates like that your thing actually works, right? So they're the probably three things I would make sure that you've got down pat. And then after that, it's just about trying to create the best project. Make sure that you try and meet the eligibility, not the eligibility criteria. Make sure you try and meet the 5 different judging criteria as well as you can. So the UI, the UX is kind of one of them. The originality factor, practicality factor, how technical the submission is, and just the general wow factor, like how impressed will judges be looking at it. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have anything else to add.
I think that something that really like allowed us to take our idea from just an idea to an actual product was the team communication and planning. During both hackathons, we made sure to have like a daily meeting, at least 5 days a week, where we came together, whether it was the beginning or the end of the day, so we could corral up the work that we were doing and then move resources and prioritize tasks to help us get to our goal line faster. Because without that kind of organization, we may not have been as close as we ended up getting. And I think that was something that really brought us up to home plate by the time it was submission time. That was what allowed us when we had 4 days left, 3 days left, 2 days left, right where people are right now. That allowed us to be like, all right, let's triage what's most important. What do we need to get done here so then we can get other people working on these tasks now? This was something that stayed true the whole time we were working. And by the time it came into like quote crunch mode, it became fun because while at the beginning we were kind of siloed into our own tasks, by the time we were triaging and making sure that we were getting what was most necessary done, we were all working kind of interdisciplinarily as a team together, really getting ourselves over the hurdle.
Great.
Nice.
Yeah. I've seen a few more questions come in the chat. One technical, one non-technical. I'll start with the technical one for you, Harry, from Gabriel Web3, asking if their project is complete, but they're struggling to make the Chainlink functions work in Mumbai testnet.
Yeah. Okay, so for that one, don't let it stop you from submitting. But if you go to our Discord and go to the announcements channel in the hackathon section and scroll up a bit, you'll see we have office hours that we've been running every day for the last couple of weeks, and we're still running them up until the hackathon finishes. So what I would do is I would go and see when the next one is, which is probably in the next few hours, and I would join the special channel we have on Discord for office hours at that time. And one of the Chainlink Labs developer advocates will help you with your project and will make sure that we get your thing working that's not working. So please submit, even if you don't get it working in the end. However, if you need help, join the office hours, go to the announcements channel, and we'll get you the help you need.
All right. And then finally, from Alex Turley, what is one piece of advice that you'd give to someone who's new to coding smart contracts? Maybe Darby, this is a good one for you.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started versus now, I'll say that now there's more resources out there available that can help you dial in what you're trying to learn. But intuitively, like, a lot of it is just jumping in and learning the trial and error, the practice. It really is practice. You're not going to get things like in one day. It's not going to just click immediately, but you got to consistently put in the work and time. But I mean, that's part of the journey.
Yeah, you're right about how there's a lot more stuff out there to learn these days. Patrick Collins actually just dropped an amazing course, which I'll put in the chat, which is, I think, 27 plus hours, and it's brand new. So it's got all the latest versions of everything, and it's done in Foundry. I think if you're new to smart contract development, you should definitely be going through that, in my opinion. It's probably the best kind of piece of Web3 educational material out there at the moment, especially seeing as it's new as well. And more generally, I think with smart contract development, like Darby was saying, you just need to play around, because once you kind of get in your head how a smart contract is basically just one big state machine or thing that kind of holds state, and it's just a case of how do you modify that state and how do you read that state, everything kind of clicks into place pretty well. It's not, I don't think Solidity is too difficult to learn compared to some of the other stuff, and it's quite limited in what you can do. So it's more of a case of just going through educational courses, going through and doing your own kind of experimenting, playing around on your local computer, but also playing around on test nets to understand how kind of test nets work and things like that. And yeah, just have fun with it.
Great. All right. With that, I'm going to wrap up the stream here. Thanks everyone for joining. Thank the three of you for accompanying me here for this call. I just want to plug that, again, submissions are due this Friday, June 9th at 11:45 p.m. Eastern time. So be sure to get those in. On top of that, we have SmartCon coming up in October. If you're interested in that, go on over to smartcon.chain.link and check out all the exciting details over that are happening in Barcelona. And finally, tomorrow morning at 8:15 a.m. Eastern, we have another stream with our Chief Product Officer, Kamal Al-Mujahid, and Zubin Pratap from our developer advocate team as well. So be sure to check that out. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Al. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me as well.
Thank you.